You know, some stories from history are just so strange, so bizarre, that you couldn't make them up if you tried. And let me tell you, this one is right at the top of that list.
I mean, it sounds like the setup for a really bad joke, doesn't it? But this actually happened. It was a real problem that actual government officials had to solve. How do you get one of the most famous rulers in all of human history through modern airport customs?
And there it is, the punchline. He needed an actual government-issued passport. This is the incredible moment where an ancient king slammed headfirst into 20th century bureaucracy. So how on earth did we get to this point? To really get it, we need to rewind the clock. And I mean, way, way back. We have to meet our VIP, our very important passenger, and figure out the crisis that kicked off this whole unbelievable story. So, we're not talking about just any mummy here. This is Ramses II, Ramses the Great. The guy was a legend. He ruled for over 60 years, built a massive empire, and created monuments that honestly still blow our minds today. He was the real deal. Just look at this timeline for a second. The sheer scale of history is insane. He was hidden away for almost 3,000 years. Then he's discovered in 1881, put on display in a museum. But by 1974, after just 90-some years in the modern world, something was going horribly wrong. And when I say wrong, I mean he was literally falling apart. Fungi and other microbes were having a field day, and his remains were deteriorating at a terrifying speed. Archaeologists were in a panic, thinking they were about to watch this priceless piece of history just crumble into dust right before their eyes. So, the problem was ancient. But the solution? Well, the solution was about to hit a very, very modern wall. A wall made entirely of red tape. The plan itself was totally logical. Egypt needed the best minds on the planet to save Ramses, and those experts were in Paris. They had a special antifungal treatment that could do the job. So just book a flight for a king. Simple, right? You'd think so, but no, of course not. Because this is where the story pivots from a historical drama into a full-blown, fantastically absurd comedy. There was a hurdle that absolutely no one could have possibly predicted. It turns out, French law at the time was crystal clear. To enter the country, every single individual needed a valid travel document, no exceptions, period. And they meant every individual. The law didn't really have a section for people who had been dead for over 3,000 years. So if you wanted to cross the border into France, you needed your papers, even if you were a mummy. So with no way around the rules, the Egyptian authorities did the only thing they could do. They rolled up their sleeves and complied. And this kicked off one of the strangest travel itineraries in all of history. Almost 3,200 years after his death, Ramses the Great was issued his very first official passport. And I'm not kidding, they even took a passport photo. They propped up his head and snapped a picture of his mummified face for the document. And just like any passport application, they had to fill in all the little boxes, name, date of birth, all that stuff. And then they got to the line for occupation. What do you even write for a guy who's been out of the workforce for 3 millennia? It's just beautiful, isn't it? The perfect, deadpan, bureaucratic answer. King, deceased. You can just imagine some government official typing that out with a completely straight face. It's just chef's kiss. Magnificent. And let's just say his travel experience was a little different from ours. When he touched down in Paris, there were no long lines or bad airport coffee for him. No, his coffin was greeted with a full military honor guard and a police escort. He was received with all the ceremony of a visiting head of state, which I guess he kind of was. And the whole thing was a massive success. The scientists in Paris not only gave him that special antifungal radiation treatment that saved him from literally rotting away, but they learned all this incredible new stuff about him. They found out he had arthritis, old battle wounds, and, get this legendary Egyptian pharaoh had wavy, ginger-colored hair. Who knew? So after his high-tech spa treatment in Paris was complete, it was time for the king to finally go home. And thanks to his very official paperwork, the journey back was a piece of cake. Yep, in May of 1977, all stabilized and ready to face the next few millennia, Ramses II flew back to Egypt. His passport had done its job. It got him into France for his life-saving procedure and ensured he could get home safely. And that's where he is today, safe and sound on display in Cairo. His whole adventure is just this perfect, hilarious reminder that it doesn't matter how powerful you were in the ancient world. Eventually, you're going to have to deal with modern paperwork.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? After hearing about Ramses, you've got to wonder, what everyday rule or piece of red tape that we deal with would be the most confusing to someone from the past? Trying to explain a cookie policy on a website? Airport liquid restrictions? Let us know what you think.